So, fans have been asking me about why I view certain teams as contenders and certain teams as non-contenders. It's really subjective. But with the 30 plus years of hockey I've been watching, there are some important things to consider when deciding whether or not a team could win a Stanley Cup. Now, you look at, for instance, Pittsburgh. How did Pittsburgh do it? They had depth at center. They had a superstar. Okay. I thought for a second I missed a couple letters. I didn't. So, they got a center and a superstar. You have to have a really solid goalie. Like, say like a 4-star goalie. To use an NHL 18 term. You got to be a 4-star goalie. What's that? Oh, they changed the rating system? Yeah, that's stupid. They changed it. So, why don't I do this in NHL 18 terms? You have to have depth at center. So I'll go with center depth. And it's important to have 1 through 4, but 1 and 2 are really what set your team apart from the others. Superstar player. So this is where we all define superstar differently. But he should be capable of raising his game in the playoffs. And you don't know until the guy's in the playoffs whether or not he can do that. So we can't say that with Eichel yet. So I know there's a lot of Buffalo fans that are still a little salty about me not putting Eichel and O'Reilly in the top 10. I just couldn't at this point have them there due to not seeing a full season of them as 1 and 2 centers where I felt they justified being included in the top 10. And Kopitar had a brutal season, and I couldn't justify that either. I digress. Goalie has to be a really solid goalie. And then your defense, it's really got to be a solid top 6. Now, top 4 can be the difference maker, but to go 4 rounds, you're going to at some point have defensemen get hurt. So when I'm thinking about who I view as a contender and who I don't, these are the things I look for. So where do I feel that the Rangers hit? The Rangers at center depth right now, I don't know. They got 2 rookies who might make the team out of camp. That's a great storyline. It might be fun to watch, but I don't know if they're any good or not. Superstar? The superstar with the Rangers, you could argue it's Lundqvist. Lundqvist's 35. How much longer is he going to be at the top of his game? His numbers slipped last year. Is there any guarantee his numbers don't slip again this year? Which brings us to goalie. Oh, look, it's the same guy. Same problem. And then defense, top 6, they fixed their defense. They have a defense that can hang with pretty much anybody else top 6. But they're missing here, and there's some shakiness here. Everybody says, well, Zibanejad can be, really, really good. I know. I watched Zibanejad in Ottawa. I'm a big fan of Mika Zibanejad. His family and that story is fantastic. But you can't be blind to this. San Jose. San Jose at center depth. If it's Pavelski, Couture, Thornton, that's solid. There's good center depth in San Jose. Superstar? I don't know right now. I guess Pavelski gets that superstar spot. Maybe Couture gets that superstar spot. Brent Burns on the blue line definitely deserves it. Top 6 defense, sure. Superstar? Yeah, I'll give you with Burns. I don't know if Burns could do it over 4 rounds, but I'll give you those 2. Goalie? What do you have in Jones? Can Jones be that series maker? They get to the final a couple years ago. Can they get back? Does the decline of Thornton mean they don't get back? St. Louis. All right, St. Louis. Their center depth. Come on, Stastny. Throw us a bone here. It's your contract season. Wake up. It's pretty bad when his own father was calling him out not that long ago. If your dad can tell if you're phoning it in. Superstar. Tarasenko. Has Tarasenko done it in the playoffs yet? Not quite. And I mean, again, you could say, well, he hasn't had the support. Neither's Ovechkin. Goalie. Jake Allen's been fantastic for St. Louis, but he hasn't had a full season at fantastic. He had a bad first half. They changed coaches, and everything's great. There's no guarantee this year there won't be some kind of a setback. that he won't drop back to a more middle-of-the-pack goalie. There's nothing wrong with having a middle-of-the-pack goalie, but the other spots have to make up for it. St. Louis's top six actually turned out to be pretty solid after they traded Shattenkirk. I was 100% wrong when they traded Shattenkirk. So that's St. Louis. Calgary. Calgary's good at center depth, but is Monahan a guy that you look at and say, okay, he can stand across from McDavid and cancel him out? No. Does Backlund cancel out Draisaitl? Probably not. What about Taves? Would you put Monahan out against Taves? I don't know. So, center is maybe. Superstar. Johnny Gaudreau. He's really streaky. And I like the kid a lot. But, I don't know. Goalie? Smith? I guess. Defense. Defense is solid. Calgary's defense is solid. It's fantastic. It's one of the best defense cores in the league, as I said earlier today. So this is the trick for me. When I'm talking about contenders and I'm trying to say this team's a contender or this team, I don't see them as a contender, I'm not saying this team's crap. You look at Nashville. Nashville, center depth? I don't know. I mean, you got Johansson, you got Bonino. Bonino showed in Vancouver he wasn't a number 2 center. He succeeded in Pittsburgh and he succeeded in Anaheim because he was a number 3 guy. Whenever he's been asked to be a number 2 guy, it's been more of an adventure than when he's a number 3. Superstar? You could argue 3 of their blue liners would qualify as superstars. So, superstar, I'll give them a sure. Defense, yeah. Goalie? I don't know, man. Pekka Rinne was in the zone for the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. But his stats were up here, and they would slowly decline during the playoffs. And then we all remember Rinne in Pittsburgh was exactly the same as Luongo in Boston in 2011. So there's your issue. Tampa. Now I'm picking Tampa to win the Stanley Cup. Center depth is there. Superstar, if Stamkos is ready to go, sure. If Stamkos isn't ready to go, it's fine because they got Kucherov. Kucherov's not ready to go, that's fine. They got Hedman. In net, I'll give Vasilevsky a pass. I haven't seen it over a full season where he's been a starter yet. And defense, top 6, they have a solid top 6. And with Hedman leading the way, I think, he can overcome some of the shortcomings, I think, of the bottom of that blue line. These are the biggest things. And there are people who are going to argue that coach makes a difference. My problem is the coach that wins the Stanley Cup today is the coach that gets fired tomorrow. The coach that got fired yesterday won the cup today. It's so hit and miss with coaches. With players, it's a little more set. A good player can overcome a bad coach, and a bad coach can win with a good team. So that's where I see the contendership. And that's where I understand where fans are coming from who say, well, you're not viewing this team as a contender, you're underestimating this team. This is what I have in my mind when it comes to contending teams. And this is by far the 5th most important. If I had to rate them, goalie's probably 4th. The superstar player, not 5th, because you got 5th down here, Shannon, pay attention. And between defense and center depth, it's really kind of equal. You can overcome your top 6 being a little shaky if you've got Malkin and Crosby as your top guys. If you've got the kind of defense Nashville has, you can overcome your center depth being iffy. But you can't overcome it without a superstar and without that great goalie. So there you go. That's my best way of trying to explain this. And this is why when Canucks fans say, well, how long is it going to be till the Canucks are contenders? Here's the problem. I don't see the center depth being any good right now. I don't have any idea which prospects are going to make it because nobody does. They don't have a superstar. I love Horvat to death. He's not a superstar. Their goaltending, they have 2 backups trying to be a starter. And their top 6 defense is anchored by Alex Edler. And I can't have a lot of faith in that. I like a lot of the pieces on that blue line. I love Hutton. I love Stetcher. I really think that there's a lot of good pieces in there. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so I just loaded this up really quick just because I know I always have Canuck fans commenting. Yeah, like Edler, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think Del Zotto's here when the rebuild's done. Goodbranson, no. Tanev, maybe if he's healthy. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces that I'm not a fan of, and that's why it's hard. Like for instance, and I'll just use this as the last example. Buffalo. Buffalo has a fantastic 1-2 punch if they're both healthy and they're both producing in O'Reilly and Eichel. Superstar Eichel is the superstar. Hasn't done it over a full healthy season yet. He had a really good rookie year. He had a solid sophomore season, which was cut short by injury. Goalie, I think Leonard can be the guy. I don't know that he's done it over a full season yet. His stats last year were decent. He had some public displays of disaffection with his team, which seemed to hopefully depart with Bilesma. Defense, they're top 6. I still think they're suspect top 6 with Buffalo. They're working on fixing it, but I have my doubts. And this is the thing too. Florida, is another one, and this is why I think your contender, you should hit 3 of these spots. I think as a maybe contender, you should probably hit 2. And for those teams that are just not quite there, they might hit 1, and there might be others you can go maybe. And that's the trick. Let me know why I'm wrong in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.